Okay, it's awesome to see so many people come to the event tonight. Last year we had an amazing Gamescom. There was about 1,000 people, and it was completely an overwhelming experience. This is even bigger, so I think it's a little more overwhelming. We thought it'd be fun to open with the Constellation commercial, which we just debuted now and is going live. It's the last of the commercials for the 5 starting ships that we started the crowdfunding campaign with. And that was the Aquila variant, which is the exploration variant. So I thought I'd give you a little walkthrough of the different variants, and then we'll get onto some other cool stuff. Okay, so we are leaving the hangar, which last year we were in the hangar, but now we're in space a little bit in Arena Commander. So this is the 2945 model lineup of the constellations. So the first variant is the Constellation Taurus, which is actually a little less expensive than the Andromeda, which is the base model that everyone knows and quite a few of you guys have. It has the most cargo of all the ships in the Constellation line. I think it has almost twice as much cargo space as the Andromeda. So it loses a little bit of its sort of offensive power to have the extra cargo room, but it's a good ship, I think, for trading. There's a little breakdown of it. You can see the larger kind of cargo hold. And we've refactored actually the Constellation, and this is true for all of them, based on your guys' feedback actually. So there was a fair amount of feedback from the community about like how the living section should all be sort of together, so you could fly and sleep and escape. So that's kind of refactored in the front, and then in the back we actually have an engine room, which sort of in multiplayer ship gameplay, you'll perhaps have to fix and do stuff. So the next one is the Andromeda, which I think you all know and love. It's the base kind of constellation that a lot of people have in their hangars. It's well armored, all the rest of the stuff. It's your home away from the hangar, and of course, then you can see the sort of refactoring of the front where there's more room for the living quarters and the head instead of being in the back where we put the engine room. So, and there's definitely more cargo room in all the constellations now. The Aquila was the one that we just had in the commercial, and if I go over here, so it has extra equipment for exploring. So it has both a long-range scanner setup that will allow you to sort of scan for minerals and stuff around in the star system. Plus, it also has some jump antenna and stuff for charting jump points, and it has the rover for planetary exploration, which we're going to do a little bit in PVA. And so that's kind of the setup. And by the way, we've done something for the Constellation lineup. We have a separate brochure for each one of them to sort of go into the details, and that will all be on the website right now, which is pretty fun. And then there you are, the Phoenix, which is the top of the Constellation line now, and it's quite different than the rest of our ships because it's basically this is, if you want to pimp out in a super yacht, this is kind of the ship to be flying. So best-in-class luxury craft for the discerning spacefarer, RSI quality for the luxury market, ideal for organization leaders. Includes a Merlin and a custom rover, which I believe we're calling the Lynx. It features a hot tub, media lounge, leather interiors, and more. And as you can see, it has a fair amount of wood accents and a bunch of other stuff. All right, so that's the Constellation lineup. So this year, I mean, as you all know, that we launched Arena Commander V0.8 in the beginning of June, and as part of that, we moved to PBR. So of the existing hangars, we did a very quick pass to make sure the hangars didn't look bad in PBR. But the plan has always been to completely refactor them because we're moving away from a very sort of custom-sized hangar, which is what we used to have, to a much more modular system. So we have this thing that we call the room system that is a sort of foundation of a lot of the building that we're going to do on the planet side module, and it'll allow you to sort of build up, our designers to build up locations. So the rooms would be things like shops or bars, and the hangars themselves are sort of the first iteration of that in the game. And so for Arena Commander V0.9, when we release it, we're going to release completely new hangars for everyone. And so we're going to show what the new hangars all look like here. They've all been redone with PBR. A lot more detail. So one of the things that we've sort of decided to switch to is to actually not be so mapped to, okay, discount, deluxe, business. It's more sort of in fiction. So we have various manufacturers, if you follow sort of some of the in fiction stuff that we write up or you see in Jump Point. But the major manufacturers, Southland, Revel and York, AeroView, and VFG Industrial. And there are sort of 4 basic manufacturers of the hangars. And they have different styles. And every single hangar now will be able to sort of expand in size and take all the ships you have. So it's more a matter of aesthetic choice. Do you like that sort of rugged industrial look, which is Southland? Or do you like something that is kind of more sort of sleek and clean, which would be Revel and York, and sort of, or do you want something like AeroView, which is sort of a kind of classic Star Wars sci-fi view. So all those hangars will be available to everyone as soon as V0.9 is released, which we're estimating is in 2 weeks' time. August 27th, pending one little thing that I will talk about. So the new hangars are fully expandable. They can be customized out. So there's functionality that will be built on. And by the way, one thing I should say is that all those hangars were built by the PlanetSide team at Behavior, who are doing an amazing job on PBR and building. I mean, there's a whole nother level of like detail and lighting and texture in the hangar, so really making it sort of feel more like your home away from reality, I would say. So part of the reason why it's in the ship system is will allow you to sort of, first of all, it will scope out for the different ships you have, but also you'll be able to add on rooms like a firing range where you can test your guns out and tweak them, or living quarters, or a sort of engine tuning room and stuff like that. So those will be all sort of things that down the road we'll be adding on, and they're quite easy to do with the room system. And obviously you can start to play your Arena Commander, and also it will be the gateway to the planet side when you go through one of the outside doors and step out into one of the environments. And yeah, it's our first step in connecting you to the wider Citizen universe. So a couple of things as far as the hangars work, to let you guys know. All the hangars support all the ships that I mentioned already. So what we're going to do is we're going to map everyone that's got a hangar right now to sort of the default. So if you've got a discount, then you would be at Southland. If you're at a business, you would be AeroView, or if you're a Deluxe, you would be able to go to the Revel in York. But you'll be able to choose which hangar you want, because all the hangars support everything. So you'll be able to say, no, I don't want the AeroView, I want the Southland, or I want whatever, the Revel in York. And from there, we'll sort of lock it. One of the ideas is the hangars themselves will sort of determine your location in the universe. So for instance, if you want to be on sort of like you've got a base and you're sort of out on the outskirts and it's sort of a early mining colony, well, probably you wouldn't have a really fancy hangar like the Revel in York one. That would be something you would see on Terra. So you would probably only be able to have a Southland hangar out in those areas. So it's meant to be much more in fiction. So the hangars you are sort of being based on the sort of starting areas and planets you do, and we'll sort of develop that as we go. But I think it'll be much better for creating sort of the in fiction feeling, and of course, because all the hangars are enable you to have as many ships and expand in each way, it's more a aesthetic choice than it is necessarily like a feature set choice. Okay, so that's what we're doing on the hangars. V0.9, so we've been hard at work on V0.9. It has a whole bunch of improvements to what you guys have been playing. We're aiming to release it in 2 weeks' time, 27th of August. So it has a revamped hangars that we just showed you. We have additions to the flight model, so I don't know whether necessarily you call it new improved, but on the release, what we call release 13, which is V0.9, there will be 6 degrees of freedom for you guys, so I know that's something that quite a few people want. So proper additive mode. So basically the way it will work is when you go into decoupled, you'll be able to do proper additive 6 degrees of freedom and rotation, so all the axes. And when you're not decoupled and you're flying around IFCS, you will also be able to strafe. So you'll be able to go left, right, up, and down as you're flying around. So I think that will add some more nuance to what everyone can do. I mean, I'm already pretty impressed by, I watch videos and you sort of see people like learn how to use the momentum and the tricks, and it's actually quite cool. The other thing that we're doing with it is we increased the speeds of all the ships with the new model. So basically they've all gone essentially double. So something was doing 100, go to 200. Now, just to let you guys know, when you go twice as fast, and you've got, the same kind of maneuvering thrusters and power, you will slide more at the very top speed. So the analogy I would go is if you've got a car, and, I don't know, you got a Porsche or something, and it can do 150 miles an hour, you may go 150 on the straight, but if you want to turn tightly, you probably don't want to be doing 150 and expect to stay on the road. So, so I just don't want to see too many things on the forums going, oh, it doesn't control well at 200 or 300. But we are doing one thing. So the other thing we're adding, which I think is going to be kind of cool, is we sort of adding an overdrive mode for your maneuvering jets, which is essentially very much similar as doing afterburner, but instead of for the main engine, it's for the maneuvering jets. So it will burn fuel, but for a period of time, it will overpower your maneuvering thrusters. So what will happen is if you're going fast and you want to really sort of punch through a turn, you may want to boost through the turn. And of course, the downside is it'll use fuel, and if you do it too much, you may overheat your thrusters. But the upside is for a brief period of time, you will get more thrust. And of course, that will help you at, say, the higher speeds and everything. So again, it adds, I think, another texture dimension to the possibility of flying in combat. So hopefully you guys will like that. There's been a lot of work on audio. The audio, when we released V0.8, wasn't very good. I'll admit that. I was quite unhappy with how it was. V0.9 is much better, and it will be getting better over time because we're actually going to switch audio engines from FMOD to WIs, which is later down the road, and that allows some more real-time mixing and some other features we want to do. But the V0.9 audio is much, much better. And we're also going to have the first pass at the control customization inside the game, which I know a lot of people want. So, so we're going to have some default profiles set up for very common stuff, and then you'll be able to customize them the way you want without having to do all the current, like, crazy XML key binding stuff that you have to do. And then in our multiplayer game, which now, the nice thing with V0.8 is multiplayer is open to everyone, finally, which is really cool. The only downside with it is, at the moment, is we don't have the private matches or a proper lobby system. So, for V0.9, we're going to allow private matches using friend codes. So you'll be able to say, hey, I'm going to play this game, use this code, join me on this server, and your friends will be able to join you. So it's the beginning of the lobby system, which will be good. I think you guys will like that. Because as much as I know you like to meet random strangers, it's probably fun to play with your friends. When we go to Arena Commander 1.0, which we're, I guess, aiming for maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks after 0.9, that will have the full lobby system supporting organizations, friends lists, and everything else. So one other thing that we're doing for V0.9 is the first iteration of leaderboards. So the servers will report back the status, the outcome of the matches, and so you'll be able to see how you rate next to everybody. This is the one feature that we definitely want to ship with V0.9, so this is the one thing that potentially could push V0.9 back a few days, getting this in there, but this is, I think, a big thing so everyone can sort of, see how they stand and play and do all the rest of the stuff. The leaderboards. And now, the other thing we've got is 2 new game modes. So we got Vandal Swarm co-op, so good job. We've got the friend codes for V0.9, so you can have your friends play co-op. I think we're going to have the Vandal Swarm co-op playing on the machines here after this presentation, so you guys can get a taste of it. But it's actually a lot of fun to play in the co-op mode with your friends, because first of all, it's a lot tougher. There's a lot more, Vandal, and we've sort of worked on the AI some. And it's just kind of cool. It's also, we got a good cinematic camera mode that if you don't want to respawn, you can sort of watch your friends as they fly, and it's actually really kind of cool. So I'm thinking some people will do some cool videos with that. So that's one, and then the other game mode that we have is something pretty fun and special, and we're going to do a demo for it. But I think I will play a little video, and then I'll talk about it. So let's do that. What we're doing is the Murray Cup Racing. So it's a whole racing game mode. And I think if you guys have been following the fiction, we sort of have a whole sort of fiction about Murray Cup. So I'm actually going to be flying here. I'll get beaten by Travis and Dan because they're much better than me. I may even crash for everyone. But essentially, you know, the idea is that, you know, Murray Cup's sort of like the Formula One of our universe, and you compete on these different planets and locations during the season for the overall champion. And it will be something you will be able to do in the persistent universe as a sort of profession, as a racer, and you can qualify and get in and do it. We're also going to let you race against your friends. We're going to have 3 basic game modes. So the 3 modes will let you time trial, then there's race against friends, which is we're going to demo here, which is 8 people in a race, and then there's going to be a later game mode, which won't be with V0.9, it'll be later 1.0, but that will be a sort of death race version, where you go through checkpoints and weapons go hard and do all this thing self. I will, let's do some racing. We'll see who's the fastest. So hold on.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so that's the preview of the race mode, which is kind of fun. Different, it's quite different because it's all about the piloting skill. As you can see, Travis here is our reigning champion. Him and Dan have a good competition going, but Travis has got it down. So that's all going to drop, like I said, in about 2 weeks, hopefully, depending on the leaderboards. And you guys will have a lot of fun because you'll have the new hangars, the 2 new game modes. The M50 and the 350R will both be flight ready for then, so you'll be able to fly them. In case you notice, we were all flying the M50 in that race, which is rather fast. We were going between 200 and 300, so you know that's pretty much close to the speed of sound around that course. So hopefully you guys like that. And then, of course, we have something else that we're going to show you, which is not going to be in V0.9, but it is something that long-term I think everybody is going to be hopefully pretty excited by. It's one of the things that I want to do the most in the game, which is the multi-crew sort of ship combat. So we're going to do a little demo. It's part of what we're working on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to happen in multi-crew combat because it's pretty complicated because you're in a ship, moving around a ship while it's flying around in space. So it's like 2 levels of physics simulation, a whole bunch of other stuff. But we're going to show you the sort of prototype of that happening in. So we're going to show you we're going to show you a demo. 4 of us are all going to. Actually, there'll be 3 people operating in the ship, and 1 person will be operating a cinematic camera. like to end just saying thank you all for supporting, having this game made. We're having a huge amount of fun making it. Hopefully you guys are having a lot of fun watching us make it and involved and giving us feedback in how we make it. We wouldn't be able to build something of this ambition and scope without all your support, both everyone here and everyone out there on the internet. So thank you, everybody, and I don't know, let's have some drinks and fun. I love you guys.